All right, Dree, what's up? Hey, welcome, everybody. We are live. Dree, greetings from California. Awesome. Hope all is well, everybody. Thanks for joining. Going to do a little bit of a guitar workout tonight. Hopefully everything's coming through loud and clear. All right, Sacramento, Tony, welcome. Good to see you. All right, everybody, thanks for joining tonight. Got an hour session here, same times, every Friday for 1 hour. What's up, Matthew from Canada? Excellent. Love it. Happy Friday, Elias. Good to see you. Good evening, Rui. Guam in the house. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Jody One, good to see you. Anthony McSee, good morning. Jim King from Ontario. Excellent. OH is here. Great. Ron from Boston. Excellent. Good to see everybody. So we're going to head into another guitar workout. Just get some playing a little bit. Strumming Susan, what's up? Hey, hey. Welcome, welcome. So we'll get some just some exercises going, just get playing a little bit, and hopefully just try and think about the fretboard a little bit as well. Sort of design these little exercises to start thinking about the fretboard a little bit, the notes on the fretboard. Saturday morning in Guam as well. All right. I love it. Okay, cool. Well, as always on these, hello, Edward, what's up? Welcome. As always on these guitar workouts, we start with the warm-up. Throwing a little wrench into it this time. Oh, from Hawaii, Michael. Excellent. Excellent. Awesome. G&T Hardware. Yes, before we get rolling, I just want to say cheers to all y'all out there. Let's have a sip. Hello from Peru. Excellent. Good to see you. Matthew, I'm kind of a beginner. Am I in the right spot? We will start with a few beginner things, okay? I usually structure this more on the beginner to intermediate side, okay? So, hopefully you can hang on to some of the stuff that we're going to cover over this, but, I highly encourage you, if you're a member of Guitar Tricks, or if you're not a member of Guitar Tricks, head over to guitartricks.com and check out the fundamentals course. That is where you should start as a beginner, and it gets you going right from the very beginning, okay? I invite you to check that out. Sunshine State, what's up, Joe? Excellent. Jeff Moore, hello there. Yes, the gold rim, literally. All right, cheers, everybody. All right, so we're going to get the, first of all, Susan, haven't been able to play because of the hand, but can do piano, so that's been stealing your attention. Well, at least there is some music happening, which is very important, so I'm glad to hear that. I'm sorry to hear about the hand and the guitar thing, but hopefully we will get back to the point where you can get back on there and get it going again. I really hope for that. But at least you're sticking with some music stuff and focused on the piano. That's great. And all this stuff, any instruments that if you know more than one instrument, it all informs the others, right? You're going to pick up some stuff on piano and have a few light bulb moments on the piano that you can relate back to the guitar, I'm sure. Tons of value. I agree. Edward, Guitar Tricks, giving you a great content at a small price. I agree. Check it out if you haven't. Empty Pickle Jar from Ottawa. Good to see you again. Excellent. Okay, let's get started with this warm-up that I call the Chromatic Warm Up, and I've thrown the monkey wrench in here with string skipping, okay? So this is taking this each finger, right? We're going 4th fret with the index, 5th fret with the middle, 6th fret with the ring, and the 7th fret with the pinky on the low string. Again with down, up, picking, okay? So we want to work on getting finger mobility. We want to work on getting your picking to the point where you don't have to think about it, right? And usually what we would do is start for example, the 4th fret to the 7th fret and just go up each string, move up a fret, come back down. This exercise that I've included in this handout, by the way, I haven't mentioned the handout. For those of you new, there is a PDF handout. If you open up the description right below this video, there's a link to a handout with some tabs, okay? And it's fully downloadable. Forgot to mention that. Also, we're here every Friday for an hour, and lately I've been doing my sort of topics for the full hour, but I'm ready to take any questions at any time, guitar related, and usually if we have time at the end, we'll take lots of questions, okay? Excellent, Dree. That's awesome. Peter, welcome, sir. James, I want the handout. Check it out. Expand the description. You should be able to get at it, okay? Kenneth is here from Pittsburgh. Good to see you again. All right. Thanks, James. Appreciate the kind words. So once again, and listen, if you're new to the guitar, if you're kind of a beginner, okay, this first exercise in particular is just a great exercise for you to get the fingers going, making solid sounding notes, working on your picking, okay? The only monkey wrench I threw into this is we start on the low string. And then I skip the next string and go to, say, the D string or the 4th string for the same thing, and then come back to the string I skipped, the A string. And then go up to the G string. Okay? Then we go to the D string, to the B string, G string, high string. Mike, guess what day it is? Peter, I don't know. I don't know. Peter, you're going to have to help me out, and I'm going to probably kick myself after it. I don't know. All right, that's a good question. Who knows what day it is? When I first started, skipping the string was the hardest. All right, so that's great. If we're not there yet, if it feels like it's just way too hard. Oh, okay. I get you. It's the camel day. All right. Still not sure I get it. I don't know. I'm really slow with that kind of stuff. All right. So if this exercise, if this exercise is new to you, just go down one string at a time. But in order to add a little bit of extra trickiness to it, if you're fully comfortable with going one string at a time and doing these kinds of exercises, this is a great way to add bump up the challenge level, right? So it might look a little more like this. All right, then we're gonna move up one fret and come backwards, come back down. Keep going. Up one more fret. All right, that's the idea. You can take this for 5 minutes, go up and down the neck with it. It's a great warm-up. Go as slow as you need to. Okay, I was kind of doing a little bit of a medium speed there, but honestly, it's much better to just go slow and consistent, slow and even. Okay. Oh, the mic. Okay, I got it now, Peter. Oh, that's crazy. All right, cool. So there's our warm up tonight. Hopefully, spur some ideas, get you. Getting those fingers moving, okay? Now, as always, we're going to have some sort of a strumming exercise, okay? And so for you beginners out here, this is a great way to just practice some, even, consistent, relaxed strumming. And I've got some, first of all, Matthew, would a metronome help with this warm-up? Absolutely. I'm a big fan of metronomes. If you want to turn it on, It'll keep you honest, right? Lock your foot with the metronome, and it's a little bit easier to lock your picks to your leg locked in with that metronome, okay? But the key is to go slow. You don't want to go so fast that you're sort of tripping up on certain notes, right? Or getting off the click. You want to be able to play it evenly and consistently. That's the goal. So set the metronome so that's slow enough that you can do that. And then what you're doing is burning in proper technique. You're burning in nice, steady timing, right? And as Joe D mentions, you can track your progress with it because you can attach a number to it, right? There's a BPM that tells you how fast you're going. So you know you can see the progress, right? As you increase that tempo, okay? All right, so back to strumming now, which of course strumming helps a lot with a metronome as well. You can practice your strums up and down. And if you're just starting, I would take these chord progressions in exercise 2 of the handout, and I would just do straight down up strums on it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? First chord's in E minor. I've got the second fret of the A and D strings, and everything else is open, right? That's an E minor chord. And the key to strums is just being as relaxed as you can be. And if it's a straight time example, like for example, this example, you want that upstroke to be right in between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and nice and consistent, nice and steady timing, okay? Now, to get it to the next level of complexity, you look at what we've got mapped out here. And we've got down, up, up, up. So the key to this is that halfway through the bar or the measure, we are not going to throw in the downstroke on the strings. We're just going to upstrokes. But check this out, right? And as my regulars will attest to, I beat this over the head, right? Like in order to get nice, solid timing, we've got to keep this general motion going. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Lock to the metronome, and then you can choose which accents you want to strum the strings. Okay, so I'm still making that motion on the downstroke. Okay, still making this motion, but choosing where to do the strum. Up, 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 down, up, right? Russell's got a good point, man. If you think about Hollywood Nights, or what key would that be in? I don't even know what key that it is. That's like a big upstroke kind of thing, right? We're starting a little bit not quite as fast and not quite as sort of groovy as that, but this is where you start with this technique, is just to work on up, but still keeping this going. That's what's going to keep you in time. If you're like down, up, like that, then you're interrupting your flow, and it's much easier to get off time that way. Okay, so we want to just keep this pumping, right? Just keep it on the tempo. Okay, next chord, second bar, bar 6 of this handout is a C chord. Open C, same strum pattern. Down, up, right? Then to an open G chord in bar 7. So same strum pattern, down, up, and then to the D chord, right? Down, up. Now repeat. Put it all together. All right, so where the next challenge is in this particular exercise is that you have an upstroke right as a chord change is coming on the downstroke. So that is a little bit challenging. You want to go slow on this, right? to be able to have time to go from the upstroke of that E minor, then on the downstroke, be able to catch that C major change, right? So you can slow that right down and just practice that change on an up, down, up, down. Okay, practice that like a couple minutes at a time. Just get used to changing quickly like that. Now play the entire bars and loop them, right? All right, kind of see that? See where I'm going with that? So hopefully this gets you thinking a little bit about just, you know, some strums. They call this sort of a syncopated strum. Syncopation is where you're deviating from the overall count, right? The overall 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead, we're going 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, right? Dree, can we use four finger G and keep fingers 3 and 4 planted when transitioning to D? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can do any kind of tweaks you want to these exercises, whether to make it easier for you, whether to just try out different chord variations, right? There's lots of ways to play a G. I just chose one of them, right? We can do it that way. We can do it that way. Okay. Whichever way you'd like. So yes, absolutely. Change up the examples to suit whatever you're going for. Anthony McSee, I found once I can successfully get anything with a metronome, then building up the tempo is the easy part. 100%, Anthony. That's absolutely correct. And in fact, I had an instructor once that told me, get it down correctly, slowly, and speeding it up is trivial. It's not quite that easy, depending on what you're trying to do. But if you know you can get it slow, if you can play a part, a chord change, a strum correctly at a slow speed, you just got to work on it, work on it, work on it, and it's going to be easier and easier to ramp that up into higher tempos. Okay, so that's 1000% the way that I love to encourage people to practice. And Ron R. was syncopated once, and the doctor prescribed fiber. So there we go. I love it. That's a great one. Cool. Okay. So yeah, look out for that syncopation, everybody. The talking metronome. There you go. That's kind of cool too. All right. So exercise 3. So I came up sort of with what's called a double stop riff. There's a few things I wanted to point out with this, but first of all, what is a double stop? Some of you may have heard that sort of phrase. And what are we actually talking about? Well, a double stop is we're talking about playing 2 notes simultaneously, okay? You start getting into 3 notes simultaneously, and you're more likely playing chords. So it's just sort of a shorthand phrase, double stop. It's just 2 notes that we're playing together at the same time. So what I've done is chosen the key of C, and I'm up here at the 10th fret of the D, starting at the 9th fret of the G. Now check it out. You can see that I've got a steady sort of 8th note groove. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? But I'm changing the note up top. I've got the C note down here on the D string, okay? And I'm changing the note up top. So, okay. That's the part. Okay, so in order to be able to play this in this position, right, we're gonna have to flatten the finger down on the 10th fret of the D and G. And I usually I've got the middle finger on that one, and I put the pinky on the 12th fret of the G when I need to go to that, okay? Okay, now what are we actually doing here? So I'm playing 2 notes at the same time, but I'm keeping the C note constant. So if we think about what are the chords that we're sort of suggesting, Or what kind of melodic ideas are we coming up with? And that's where I'm going to go with this, Edward, is are you working up a scale with this? Yes. I've chosen the key of C. So all of the notes in this exercise are notes from the key of C. Okay? So if you think about where this note is and like a little scale pattern, right in that area of the fretboard, you can think a little bit about what notes you're adding to the root note. So for example, this E note is the 3rd fret in the scale. That's your major 3rd. So by combining the root and the 3rd, you're sort of outlining a C major chord, right? And then when you flatten down and you add the 4th note from the scale onto the root, it's kind of sounding a little bit like a sus4, right? And then boom, you're adding the 5th note, which gives you a power chord, a root 5th, okay? So that leaves whether it's a major chord or a minor chord sort of ambiguous, but we know in this case we started with a major chord, so you can just assume, well, I'm just grabbing the root and 5th from a C major, okay? All right. Bar 10, I'm moving down. Okay, so now I've moved my root note. It's now an A note. Okay, now if you're still thinking about a C major scale, but the note's related to an A note. So you've got that E note, the third note in the scale, D note's the 2nd note in the scale, and C is the root. 1, 2, 3, right? Against the 6th note in the scale, which is A. So see what you got here. You've got, in relation to the A note, you've got a root and 5th, a root and 4th, and a root and minor 3rd, right? Because the relative minor of C major is A minor. So that makes sense. What that means is the relative minor is basically the exact same notes from the relative major. They make up those keys, the scales in those keys. So it would follow that if we're talking about A minor, or talking about A, it would be minor. Okay. And I'm talking about the theory a little bit here. Don't worry, if this theory sounds like Greek, it's okay, all right? At the very least, this is a cool exercise from the key of C, okay, that you can work on your picking, get used to the sound of double stops, playing together 2 notes at the same time and coming up, you know, experimenting and coming up with a little melodic part, right? Okay, bar 11. Okay, so same idea. I'm just taking notes from the key of C, from the C major scale, changing the root note, and just playing whatever's available to me, the shapes that are available to me wherever I happen to be on the fretboard. Okay, what's interesting is that F note, right? If you're taking notes from the C major scale, you're not going to have this shape on the F note. You've got 3rd fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G, and then 3rd fret of the D, 4th fret of the G. So you get these different sounds depending on where you are in that C major scale. Okay, kind of cool, right? F would be like the 4 chord in the key of C major. So you've got different notes to work with around that root note of the 4 chord. And then you go back up that last bar, bar 12. Absolutely worth learning, Edward. But yes, don't be scared off by it. I'm just shouting it out to the people that can hang with it, right? Okay, notice that on the G note, we've got the same shapes that we started with on the C note. So you can kind of mix this all up and put it in different order or whatever. Try trying to find different spots on the neck to play the same things. For example, that first one on the C note, you can play it down here. Same notes are available to you on the G and B string, 5th fret. The shape's a little different because we've got the B string is tuned flat, right? But you can play it up here on the A and D strings, right? So these are just what I'm trying to do with these with any of the handouts that I have with any of these sessions is just spur some ideas for experimentation, okay? You can take these exercises and practice them, and they're going to do you some good, but even better if you take it a step further and just experiment with them a little bit. Move them around the neck, try doing this in a different key, right? The other thing I like for this, it's as simple as you can strum these, just the 2 strings with downstrokes. But I also like to use hybrid picking or even just your fingers to kind of pluck it. Okay, just gives it a totally different texture, totally different type of thing. All right, makes sense? It's hot in here tonight, so I'm going to be chugging the water, chugging the G&T, the special G&T, I guess, for Anthony McSee. All right, how are we doing so far? Everybody hanging? Everybody good with it? Okay, so I've got this cool, really simple chord embellishment example in section 4. This is great. Edward, I love your comment. After he learned a fair amount of theory, songs began making more sense and easier to remember. Okay? Absolutely. Okay? And, obviously the theory is not super necessary, especially in the beginning. Okay? It's more in the beginning, it's all about getting your fingers working, getting used to shapes, getting used to picking, finger picking, strumming, whatever it is, the techniques of being able to play guitar and having some mobility. But a little bit of understanding goes a long way. You can start to pick things out a lot quicker, okay? And yeah, absolutely. Love that comment. Thank you, Edward. So chord embellishment exercise number 4. Sort of an R&B type of soul, sort of 70s pop rock kind of sound, right? I'm doing it off a D chord. Is this used in Margaritaville? Good question, Danny. I'm not sure. It is used in tons of stuff. I know that. So this is just a really common move off, say, a D chord. And I could be playing a D chord anywhere, right? But if you sort of know the spots in the neck to do this kind of stuff, if you look at it, once again, these are double stops. Again, these embellishments. Okay, so let's look at the first one. I'm sliding into the 12th fret and barring down of the top 2 strings. Okay? And basically, the way I like to think of this is we're playing off the key of D, and we're sliding a whole step up above this D note, and then landing back on the D note. Okay? So that's maybe kind of the way to anchor it and think about it is, okay, whatever chord I'm playing, if I go up and just slide 2 frets up from the root and then come back down, okay, that's going to tie into the chord you're playing. Now, on the B and E string, all you have to do is just do the same fret, and it just adds that sweet little sound in there, right? This double stop now, this harmonized melody. And you do the same thing down on what would be the 5th in the chord. Is A, sliding up 2 frets, which is 1 whole step up and then back down. So you can think of that as sliding up and then back down to the root, and then sliding up and back down to the 5th. Okay. you hear this kind of move all the time in tons of different songs, right? Okay, next bar, or couple, next line, I should say, is off a G chord here, right? So yeah, I'm kind of playing, I'm not, Ron, I'm not playing it exactly the way that it's transcribed, okay? I mean, you can kind of add in your whatever you want as far as, you know, the slides up and down. I guess what I sort of transcribed would be more like this. Like that, okay? But you can slide down like that, like just one pick, right? But the way that I transcribed it is without the slide down. So tons of variations, right? But getting back to that G chord, it's just in a different spot. But listen, the formula is the same, right? I'm finding the upper note as the root, sliding up 2 frets and then back down, and then finding the fifth. What's the fifth of the G chord? Well, it's the D, right? Now we're on the B string. Why I'm showing you that second example on the G chord is that you've got a different shape because of that B string, right? And yeah, Anthony, McC, it doesn't, you know, for right now, do whatever comes naturally to make it sound as good as you can. Yeah, Band on the Run, right? Sort of that vibe, right? A little bit. Band on the Run, I think. Had that that kind of thing, right? So yeah, so and then you can think Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, right? Right? So just a different shape on the G and B strings for that, right? Because but you could go okay, so you can kind of go upwards too instead of coming down, right? Like on the. Okay, so that's just an example there. Other things you can do with this. So going back to the D, for example, that's another great little variation, is to not slide, necessarily slide up on both strings, but just to plant down on the 10th fret, say, and hammer on just to the B string 12th fret. And then do the same thing down on the 5th fret. A little bit of a different sound, but still got that vibe to it, right? Right? Makes sense? Kind of a fun thing to play around with a little bit. Edward, sometimes I noodle around with the scales and ideas that I'm showing, and friends will say, "What song is that?" That is funny. It's like it's nothing. I just made it up. I love that. Excellent. Audible Headache, good to see you. Thanks for joining. All right. We all good? We all hanging out? Excellent. Okay. Woo, it's hot in here. Summer's coming. For those of you who don't know, I'm in sort of a garage studio with challenging climate control. So when I'm doing these sessions all summer, I'll be sweating it out on here. Excellent, Dree. Excellent. Cool. Good. GT home base. No, my home base. We film guitar tricks tutorials and whatnot in Southern California, and so I actually traveled there this week. Got back last night. I'm filming songs again, which is I'm super excited about. Getting back out there, but yes, here in Nashville, it's sticky, right, Sandy? That's it. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. Dig my little man cave studio here. Okay, moving on. So now I've got this exercise 5, which is audible headache. Where do we film in? Well, the website is based in San Francisco, but we have a filming studio in Santa Clarita, California, is where we go to film the stuff that's on the site. So that's where we're at. Is my garage door insulated, Danny? It is not. It is not. I need to get on that. I need to try and figure it out. It's a bit of a disaster when it comes to what's going on with my garage door, but one day I'll figure it out. All right, Edward, Orange County, excellent. Hey, Eastern Nepal, excellent. Welcome, welcome. Cool, Audible, that's great. Close to you. Where are you at? Somewhere in LA County. Excellent. Yes. Well, you know what's interesting, Dree? I keep some guitars in the studio here that are sort of my more inexpensive guitars, but the more expensive prized possessions go in the house with me afterwards. So, Ron, am I Canadian? Yes, I am from Canada. Grew up in Calgary. So yes, and lived in Vancouver for a while. So, Danny, I'm with you. I've actually watched YouTube videos on getting my garage door all insulated up, but I've just not gotten to it yet. I need to do that. Oh, Simi Valley. All right. Audible headache. Not too far from Santa Clarita. Excellent. Do they allow a live audience in Santa Clarita? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not, Sandy. I'm afraid not. No, high security. High security. Ron grew up in Edmonton. I was born in Edmonton. But grew up in Calgary. So there we go. Cool. Empty Pickle Jar used to live in Vancouver. Yeah, beautiful city. I was there for 9 years. Awesome, everybody. Really cool that you're hanging out tonight and always joining me Fridays. I super appreciate it, everybody. So getting back to exercise 5. I've got this descending chord progression I wanted to talk about a little bit. This is sort of a common chord progression. It could be a common type of sounding chord progression. And I'm starting off in that bar 17 with just a little bit of a variation of an open A chord. So you can see I've got the open A string and I'm barring down on the 2nd fret of the D, G, and B string. Okay? But what I'm doing is stretching to get my pinky 5th fret of the high string. Okay. And so still an A major chord in open position, but just adding this extra note up top. Okay, so it makes it sound a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit. Danny, do I know Dave from Dave's World of Fun? I'm not sure. I don't think so. How did I hook up with Guitar Tricks? It was years and years and years ago, Edward, but I will say this. I was once roommates with Anders, who is on the site. Anders, who teaches a lot of stuff on Guitar Tricks. So he was with Guitar Tricks first. I'm not sure exactly how he hooked up, but with my association with Anders is how I got hooked into the Guitar Tricks world. Any tips on what new songs are coming to Guitar Tricks? Elias, yes. What's the first song I learned? Oh, good questions. What do we got, Elias? We've got a couple Rush songs coming. So I went and did 2 Rush songs, sort of on the more prog rock advanced side of things. I did a Rolling Stone song called Mother's Little Helper is coming. And a couple Paul McCartney and Wings songs. We were talking about Wings earlier. So there's a song called Silly Love Songs, which is sort of an easier guitar, just a strum along kind of thing. And a song called Jet, which has some cool guitar parts. And then one super random song coming to Guitar Tricks. That's all the hint I'm going to give you on that one. So there you go. What's the first song I ever learned? You know what? I can't remember, but you know, man, that was a while ago. I actually think the first song I ever learned was something like that. The can, isn't that what they call it? I believe that might have been the first one I learned. And then I may have learned I don't know how quickly that came. Actually, it was more sort of probably Judas Priest. So there you go. Little Judas Priest probably was one of the first ones I ever did. Yes, the Rush songs, not in easy mode. No, unfortunately not. We're doing and this one too. No way. Look at Greg Kosick in the house. Wow, it's been forever. This is amazing. Cool. Right on. Awesome. And look at, we've got a fellow Vancouverite from Calgary. Wow, the Canadians are out. Do I know Doug Greaves? Unfortunately, I do not know Doug Greaves in Nashville, but that is cool. All right, cool, everybody. Yeah, everybody got it. So if you want to learn that one, it's coming. Cool. Love it. MK Melt, welcome from Tripoli. Excellent. All right, cool. So we're going back to this descending guitar progression, exercise 5. And by the way, for those of you jumping on a little bit later in the session, expand the description below here. And there is a download link to some tabs of which I'm sort of going through right now. Okay, you can download it to your computer or just get it going on another browser window and follow along. Okay. Cheers, Greg. Right on, man. It's been so long. It's really random and cool that you're on here tonight. That's really cool. Hope you're well as well. All right, so we've got, and by the way, I just did a really simple strum. I'm more, in this exercise, I want you to see sort of how the chord progression descends down. And so that first chord is still an A major, and we've just got like a high A note, 5th fret of the top string, sort of butted onto that shape, okay? In teen now goes to this shape, which is an A7, A dominant 7th, okay? So I've got the open A string, 2nd fret of the D, but then the open G string, 2nd fret of the B, and then another G note, 3rd fret of the high string. Okay, so a little bit of a okay, and then next, bar 19, we're going to a D chord. Then in bar 20, going to D minor. And then ending off in bar 21 on just a regular A major chord, okay, with the open E string up top. Now, what's really cool about this chord progression is that you can see the top note descending down. Okay, so when you focus on that top string, what you're hearing is what's called voice leading. Okay, so what you're doing is you're playing chords, A to A7, right? And then going to D. If I started on the A, you could probably assume we're in the key of A. We go to the D chord, which is the 4 chord, right? And then we go to a D minor, which means that you're going to a minor 4 chord, which is actually kind of a, you know, it's used a lot in pop music, lots of different genres, but going from the major 4 to the minor 4 chord is kind of a cool move, right? And that is accentuated by that voice leading that we're coming down that melody up top. Okay? And then to the A chord, right? So it's like 1 and then 1 7 and then 4 and then 4 minor and then back to 1. Okay, really? So really only 2 types of chords, a 1 chord and a 4 chord, but changing the qualities of it to give us some texture and give us somewhere to sort of explore and go within this chord progression, right? So what happens is we've got the root note up top, that first one. And then when we go to the A7 with the G note up top, that's your flat 7 note. And then, boom, we go to the D chord, and then it just comes down 1 fret to get the major third of the D chord. And then going from a major to a minor chord, we're going to move that 1 more fret down. Right? Cool. And then it turns out when you resolve back to the A chord, our 1 chord, that 5th up top is just 1 fret away from the D minor. Right? So just wanted to kind of show that a little bit. Like I said, the strums aren't really that exciting. You can add any sort of strum pattern you'd like onto this. It's more just about seeing something that you've probably heard in a number of different songs when you feel like you can hear like threads of a single note that moves through chord progressions. And that's called voice leading. And that's something that a lot of composers and a lot of people, kind of do and pay attention to, because it just really sets up this tension and release of like wanting to hear stuff move through the changes and then resolve at the end. Okay. Ron R feels like you want to finish with an additional E7 diminished, then back to A. Yes, we could absolutely do that as well. From a D chord, like an E7 diminished would be, what would that be? Like a, oh man, I don't even know. I'd have to go back and try and figure that out. Cool, I like the idea though. Ideas for sure. Excellent, awesome. Okay, so moving on. Exercise 6. Okay, we got a couple more left. All right. So we've got, I wanted to show some pretty cool chunks of chords that you can think about from your bar chords, basically, or, sort of common chord inversions that you might be familiar with. So I'm talking about 1, 4, 5 chords in the key of A, and I'm talking about dominant 7th chords. So the first one is going to be A7, bar chord, 5th fret of all the strings, adding the 7th fret of the A, 6th fret of the G. Okay? And then my 4 chord would be a D7, D dominant 7th. And in that bar 22, I show you a shape for D7. That is basically the C7 open shape, open C7. Okay? And so you just want to strum from the A string to the B string. You don't want any open strings in that one. And then for the 5 chord, which would be E dominant 7th, you just move that shape up 2 frets. Okay? Your root's right here in that chord. Right? So if you're playing a blues, okay? Cool. So, but what I want to sort of put your attention to is if we take just some double stops. I know this has sort of been a theme of tonight's workout a little bit, but if we take some double stops out of, let's take the A7 shape, okay? And just look at the D and G notes. You've got the 5th fret of the D, 6th fret of the G, right? Okay, then when you go to the 4 chord, look at the D and G string. It's the same shape, 1 fret down. Okay? And then when you go to the 5 chord, same shape, 1 fret up. So you could play a whole blues, and I'm showing these shapes in bar 23 on the handout. So right? You could play a whole blues just on that shape. Now, what is this shape? The interval of this shape is known as the tritone or the flat 5, okay? And so the interval between those two actually has a little bit of a dissonant sound to it, right? But in the constant, like say if you were going to play this with, a backing track, a blues backing track, okay? So yeah, so to be a lot more clear, Anthony McSee, what are the 3 chords in bar 23? They are the same 3 chords from bar 22, but I'm just playing the D and G string, right? Do you see that the first chord in bar 23 is the A7 bar chord, but I'm just playing the D and G notes from it? Yes, the devil's interval, that's right. Okay? The D7 chord from bar 22, if I just take the notes from the D and G string, it's the same shape. It's just down 1 fret. And then the same with the E7. Okay? That's the whole point of it. You want to kind of see cool little shapes that you can play with within those larger chords. And so what I've done is in bar 24, I've looking at some other chord shapes for A7, D7, and E7. The first one being back to the A7 bar chord, but just adding the pinky onto the 8th fret of the B string, okay? This is an alternate way to play an A7 bar chord, or a dominant 7th bar chord shape. You could put your pinky in that position on the B string. Okay, D chord, a different way to play a D7, other than what we just did in the previous couple bars, is to play a bar chord with the root on the A string. Okay? Where I've got the 7th fret of the D, 7th fret of the B, but I'm barring down on the 5th fret. So it gives you the 7th sound right there on the G string, right? And of course, move that same shape up 2 frets for E7. So where does that leave us? With those shapes, we've got another set of tritone double stops, okay? So 6th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B. Now the shape's a little bit different because the B string is flat, so we're adding on a fret to that shape. But look what you've got. Okay, there's the 1 chord. If you move it down 1 fret, there's D7, and then up 1 fret from where we started is E7. So it's the same thing. Okay, you're basically just playing the upper octave of this other set of tritone double stops. Okay, what's cool about this? Well, if you think of that Zeppelin song, Rock and Roll, where the riff is playing and it's basically a 12-bar blues, and Jimmy Page has got this other guitar going. Over top of that, leading into the first verse. That's what he's doing. It's just like a really simple shape out of this fuller chord shape and just turning it into like kind of a lead guitar part. Really cool, right? So lots of experimentation to be had with that kind of sound as well. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, cool. And of course you can adapt that to any key, right? I'm just showing it to you in A blues, but you can move that anywhere you need to. Alrighty, so getting a little bit more into the lead thing for these last couple exercises for those of you that have, want to push your lead skills a little bit. A couple really cool licks, sequences that are really fun to try and get fast, okay? And so this first one, you can see from the notation, I'm doing groups of 6. I'm using the A minor pentatonic box, okay, 5th position. And so using alternate picking, the first group of 6 is just starting at the top of that box and coming down, okay, so 6 notes. 2 notes per string, right? And the pulse of it is like groups of 3, really. So you want to hear, right? Okay. Go slow with this at first, though. All right, so the next chunk of 6 notes is the same sequence, but starting on the B string. And you're going to play the scale shapes. So you see how it changes on the G string and D string to the 7th to 5th fret instead of the 8th to 5th fret. Okay, so the first 2 go like this. And then we've got one more where it's 7 5 7 5 7 5 on the G, D, and A strings, and then ending off on the A note, 7th fret of the D string. So you put it together. All right, so this is a great lick to start working on, getting your sort of speed building going a little bit. Of course, a metronome is a great choice, right? All right, really challenging to get up and make it sound nice and clean and nice and fast, but a really fun one to do it. And you can see that it's just taking 6 notes as a sequence and then just moving the string set each time while still playing through that A minor pentatonic box, right? Now, what you want to do is make sure your picking is sorted out. So in this example, we're using down up. We're starting on a downstroke and just keeping it straight alternating. Now in bar 27, there's a sort of variation of this. What if I started on the 5th fret of the A string instead of the 8th fret and came down that scale pattern? Now I'm going to start on an upstroke. Because what you're doing is you're starting with 1 note on 1 string, and by the time you get down to the end of the group of 6 notes, you're going to end with 1 note on one of the strings. All right? So a whole other way to kind of get that kind of vibe, but it's different fingers and different emphasis and different picking because you're starting on an upstroke. Whoops. Right? Cool stuff. So something like that, you could actually use it in a solo. You could blaze it really fast if you get your speed up. But really, I can't stress enough how much these sort of picking exercises and scalar exercises and sequences really improve just your overall mobility, timing, all that kind of stuff. All right? So hopefully that is cool. All right. Last lick here, a couple more minutes left. Thanks again to everybody for hanging out. When you're having fun, things go too quick. I know I'm with you. We're just blazing through it all. All right, so I've got this lick. Again, this is sort of a sequence a little bit. It has a few more variations to it, but you can see that we're doing groups of 3. Okay. So let's look at the first 6 notes. I actually think of this, even though it's notated in groups of 3, I think of it in groups of 6, this lick. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay. So you've got some picking, but you've also got a pull off. And I'm going to take that sequence and do something very similar starting on the B string next. Okay. Now, it's a little bit different the second time towards the end of the 28th of bar 28 is that I've got a quicker pull off there coming from, okay, so first of all, I should be saying this is C sharp minor pentatonic. Okay, so, but I'm using the blues note. So that's the pentatonic box, minor pentatonic box, but I'm using the blues note, which would be on the 12th fret of the G. Okay. So, and then into bar 29. So, right? This is a really fun one to kind of work up a little bit. And in fact, you could use hybrid picking with this a little bit too. It's like when we were talking about country the other week there, and sort of a Brad Paisley type of lick could be something like this if you were to use the finger with the pick. Make sense? Okay, I know it blazed through that last lick a little bit, but it's a fun one to get under the fingers for sure. And hopefully it spurs a little bit of ideas if you're into lead guitar and looking, don't want to just blaze up and down scale patterns, right? Like learn how to come up with some sort of a sequence on, like, let's say a set of 3 strings, and then just move through that sequence, like transpose that sequence into each set of strings, like either going up or going down, however you want to do it. It's how we kind of construct some of these cool licks. All right, well, we'll have to see. The jury's out on the 90-minute sessions. We'll have to see what headquarters says about that, but I'm glad you're enjoying this hour. Flew by, as always, okay? I think I got all the questions here. Right on, Ron. I super appreciate that. That's the whole point of these sessions, is to get you, hopefully practicing some stuff, getting inspired, getting excited about some stuff. So that is awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Is there anything else I missed here? I think it's about it, man. All right. Have a great weekend, Edward. Thank you. Awesome. All right, Dree. Thank you. Jody 1. Anthony McSee, the talking metronome. There you go. Great idea. I'm going to have to check that out. The speak beat. Excellent. All right, Peter. Thank you. Great great of everybody to join in so regularly. I really appreciate the core group of people joining in. Duke 49 off topic question. A add 9 and A add 2. Yeah. Well, just basically, the rule there would be what octave you're adding that second note from the scale in at. It might be an add 2 if it's like sort of in the lower octave around the root, and it might be an add 9 if you're doing it kind of in the next octave up from the root, is how I would answer that. But it's sort of a case-by-case basis. That's sort of the general idea with that one. King 50, thank you. All right, Jeff Moore, thank you. Jim Gregory, awesome, thank you. I will stay cool, Ron. I'm going to stay cool for sure, all right? Excellent session. Thanks, Audible. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right, guys and girls, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a great weekend. Get that door insulated. I need to look into that. Yes, keep on me on that. All right, we'll see you next Friday. Take care, everybody. All right. Cheers, everybody.